Hi all, I'm Cullen Haynes and welcome to Live with Cullen Haynes, LawLive, episode 84. And my next guest is going to be talking to you all about the Workers' Comp Playbook, 17 years in law. And we're going to be talking about lots of gems you need to know because there's a lot of changes in the space. Has a luscious beard that I even envy because I can't grow one. So can you please make very welcome the one, the only, Mr. Danny Khoshaba from Bartier, partner and mediator. How are you, Danny?
Oh, stoked to be here, Cullen. Thanks for the invite and that introduction. I tell you, the only reason I have a beard is because I can't grow anything on top, so I have to kind of, use up ways.
Absolutely. You're like me. When I go to the barber, they charge me a finder's fee for all the hair that I don't have.
Same barber. Yeah.
But I would encourage everyone. This is 12:17 Australian Eastern Daylight Time. If you have any questions for this absolute behemoth, we are streaming live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, X, and TikTok for all you Gen Zers out there. We're going to start off with our first question. What's happening in your world right now there, Danny? I know you were just rushing off from court. You've got an event coming up. Tell us what's going on.
Well, I was thinking about how am I going to even make this, Cullen? I had an arbitration I had to step into that goes up until 1 o'clock, but the man upstairs is good. He finished it at 12 o'clock. Enough time for me to prepare 15 minutes with your lovely self. What's happening in the I guess in my own life at the moment? A lot, workers' compensation, nonstop. There's going to be some changes coming through very soon. In fact, we're hosting something at Bartier tomorrow morning on the changes, roughly to talk about a few of those matters. It's the second part of a three bigger series. And what we're talking about is the combination of whole person impairment and the changes that's going to eventuate in that space, as well as the Section 60s, the medical and or other related treatment expenses. So that'll be quite fun. I'll be hosting that one tomorrow, along with Stephen Marsh and Jacinta from our office. So it'll be quite exciting.
Very, very good. About 500, 600 people, you were saying, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to share that information, but it's gone live now, so I can't take it back. So, approximately about 500 or 600 people, not 600,000. So,
mate, you're like Bad Bunny, like 87,000 people coming to see you. You're amazing.
I don't know about that, yeah.
If your career was a movie, I'd love to ask this question. If it could be just film titles, what films would they be to describe your life so far?
I thought it to possibly be a bit funny in the first place. I thought I might say Shawshank Redemption, always trying to find a way out. But no, that's not true at all. Any movie that has any struggle along the way, I think any time that you go through life, you're always going to go through some struggles, and it's about how you respond to those situations. So there's always going to be a nice ending, and obviously at the end, but you're only going to appreciate that if you go through those struggles. So probably more of a drama movie. I won't, I guess, identify specifically which one, but yeah, there it is.
No, Shawshank Redemption. What a movie. Zay Wataneo. Let's go.
Very good.
You started acting for injured workers, moved in-house to Suncorp, and now, advise insurers and employers. Like, what sparked that transition, and what's been the biggest lesson for you on that journey along the way?
Yeah, it's a hard. Just kind of picking on your last comments, the biggest lesson. It's very difficult pinpointing one in particular.
Yes.
Just having that level of experience. The experiences all from the early age down to now has been quite instrumental. I think it builds your character, and it's good to have perspective, though. I think that's one of the main things that drew me to kind of the change. So I really enjoyed the start where I worked as a plaintiff lawyer, and I used to work for a smaller firm for a boss who was quite excellent. Like he just knew how to bring in the work and train people up to be able to become better lawyers. And it's sometimes some people see it as a sink or swim environment just when you're starting out, but you can get the help that you want. Obviously, if you ask for it. There's always people, not necessarily just at the firm, but also outside the firm. You get like life coaches or mentors. So I think, starting the career doing a number of plaintiff personal injury matters, workers' compensation, motor vehicles, public liability, dust disease. So we even had a class action that I was a part of. And going into it, getting more and more workers' compensation for me just made me think, you know what, if I'm going to be more of a workers' compensation specialist, I want perspective. That's what motivated me to jump to Suncorp in-house.
Yes.
Before, I did miss a little bit of litigation, and that's why I went back to litigation, this time from a defendant perspective. So I have done the three-way route, I guess, 180-degree turn.
Absolutely. And you have defended some high-profile statutory and work injury damages claims. Is there any one particular matter or any experience for you that you're able to share that like kind of defined you or that comes to mind, go, you know what, it was like baptism under fire on that one. And, I was out in the trenches. Is there anything comes to mind?
I think I'm always out in the trenches. I think they're always as difficult as the next. And I think the volume of the work is probably the biggest issue. But look, just preparing for any court hearing, when you're faced with a certain set of circumstances, and then you find out during a court hearing that you're faced with another set of circumstances that you weren't aware of, that changes the nature of the playing field. And naturally so, it teaches you to adjust and think on your feet as to how to respond to those situations. So I think those ones that have built up your skill set to be able to kind of not necessarily shoot from the hip, but adjust to a situation that you're not otherwise prepared for.
Makes sense. And I guess making sure we're on the same sort of train of thought. It is a complex and often misunderstood area of the law, workers' compensation. So what's a surprising skill or mindset that's helped you throughout the whole process, would you say?
Just stay calm and read it for what it is first. Always understand the basis. What is it that is in writing? What are you actually looking at? Don't make things up. Don't assume things. And once you get that platform right, your pedigree right, just like building a house, what's the first thing that you do is you build the foundation. If you get the foundation right, then you can pick up the other pieces and start putting them together until you finally built your own house. But essentially, that's what you look at. So we're dealing with exempt claims and non-exempt claims. So you're still dealing with a whole number of pieces of legislation, and you just have to know when what applies. So you work through those casually, and as you kind of learn more and more about the cases, you do more claims. I mean, the best knowledge is learnt really through the application of it. Somebody can explain to you all that they want, but you're never going to learn until you actually do it. But once you do it, then you're able to share that information as well. So you want to kind of build a team, you want to hire some staff, you want to make sure you give other people jobs, you want to spread the love that way and make sure that they're also building with yourself. Because if you're building alone, there's no point building a house alone because you're not going to turn it into a home.
Very, very well said. Wiser words were never spoken, indeed. And obviously, you're dealing with stressful situations. How does Danny Khoshaba unwind after a particularly tough day? Is there a little ritual you do on the way home or something you do on the weekends with your family? Like, what is it to make sure that you're not go, go, go all the time?
Look, it's a very good question. I think over the years, I've struggled to kind of grasp that. Because once you're go, 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 you're rarely no. So you're always pushing. You're always pushing. So I think for me, the church has been really good for me. It's my faith. Last couple of years in particular, I've gone close to the church. For me, family is a big part of that. And being able to separate the stresses that you go through at work and ensure that you don't pass that on to your family is probably one of the most the best things that you can do. I mean, I'm not suggesting that you'd also not talk about it if you're going through something, but by the same token is the family is a product of yourself. If you're good and you can handle it, you can separate what you're going through stress-wise from work than family, then I think you can actually raise that family, as best as you can anyway. So you want to make sure that you give them the time. And I mean, that goes with its own stresses, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, you're a father of young ones.
I got 2 under 3, so I'm endeared very much by what you're saying, Mr. Khoshaba. Absolutely.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. So and then otherwise, you just make sure that it's going to happen. And people think, you always want to get to an end, but sometimes it's okay to just slow down and enjoy the journey.
No, I really am picking up what you're putting down. I think it's like, it's not work-life balance. I think that term gets bandied around. We have the Are You Okay Day. I think it's work-life quality. Like, people say, oh, you switch off when you get home. Yeah, that's fine to say that. But I do. I drop my bags when I get home and I talk to my kids and I spend time. But I might have to log in the evening when everyone's asleep just to catch up on the day. It's okay to do those things as long as you're not burning out. But I think Jim Rohn said it best. When you're with your children and your family, be 100% with them. And then when you're at work, be 100% at work. But if you're trying to do both at the same time, I think that's where people get themselves into trouble, I would say. And doing both jobs 50 to 80%, basically.
Agree.
Yeah. Are there any passion projects you're able to share with us there, Danny, in the law or otherwise that you're exploring that excite you, that you're happy to share with us all?
Look, I was writing songs for quite some time. I did end up recording a few. I've got a terrible voice, Cullen, so please don't ask me to sing on air. But look, it's getting to the stage where I'd recorded about 3 songs, and I was trying to see whether or not, and as you get older, it gets a little bit more difficult to figure out how you actually get it out there. But yeah, we're just in the next stage to see whether or not we actually send those songs out, and if so, then we market them pretty soon.
That's amazing. Are they on the guitar? Are they singing? Are like what kind of songs are they? If you don't mind sharing.
No, I don't mind sharing. Love songs, a few love songs, a few church songs. So over the course, I started writing when I was about 18 or 19, back in 2004, in my first year at university. You had a lot of time on your hands, so you start writing, and that's when I developed that. But it only came to fruition in the last maybe 5 to 8 years in particular.
Yes.
But in the last couple of years, we're actually being able to record them and get them ready. But yeah, it was something to just enjoy as a hobby in your spare time. The spare time that you don't really have. So,
no, absolutely. Well, I cannot wait to hear them when they come out there, Danny. You got me curious now. I want to see it in the Triple J Top 100 at the very least, for sure.
I'm not sure if Triple J will play it. It's a bit too lovey for it, but we'll wait and see.
Well, maybe I don't know if it's still on there. Richard Mercer's Love Song Dedications with Richard Mercer, he might have that. I know there's always Hope 1035, which is always good that for some of those good songs, especially if they're wholesome and whatnot. That's right. No, good on you. I think that's fantastic. Where do you, switching gears a little bit, where do you see workers' comp going in the next 10 years with the advent of AI? What changes and trends should lawyers, insurers, and clients be prepared for, would you say?
Oh, big. That's a loaded question there, Cullen. Where do I start with it?
I know. I've got so much in there. You can use the lawyer. To the best of my knowledge, this is my thought.
Yeah, that's right. Well, so far what we've seen today, no, look, yeah, there's definitely a lot of changes. I think the first, what I was saying earlier about building that foundation is just understanding the proposed changes that the government's seeking to put through, which is likely going to start, mid-July in some way, shape or form. So I think understanding the legislation is important. I think then the application of that, we had the Workers' Comp Regulation 2015, or I should say the 2012 changes that came through back in June a few years ago.
Yes.
There was an issue about one more claim or one lump sum claim. What does that mean? Is it retrospective? Is it not? And it took about 2.5 years to get the case law correct on it. And essentially it was retrospective. And then the government introduced Workers' Compensation Regulation 2015 to allow one more lump sum claim for those injured workers that were obviously hindered by the retrospective changes. So the reason why I bring that up is because when these changes come through, it's going to be another 2.5 years, you would think, to actually work out definitions of what they are. There'll be a lot of cases. There'll be tests, a lot of tests. Now, that's a good thing for lawyers, naturally. A few of us are nerds, so we can get quite excited about the meaning of one word, and there's probably about, you look up the dictionary about synonyms, but you can come up with your own synonyms on various times and the application of what it means in that particular context. And often we say it's common sense approach, but everyone's version of common sense might slightly differ. So, but yeah, it'll take about 2.5 years just to get through those new changes. By the same token, you'll be working on all the old law that's going to be continuing at least for that time period. You can also get the exempt claims, which haven't changed from 2012 anyway, so they'll continue as normal. In the background of that, AI, I like your question on that. See, AI, it's obviously people are already using it. We're using it. We're required. As we use it, no doubt other law firms will be using it.
Of course.
Clients will be using it, And you just got to be careful, because sometimes you got to know what information to feed it so it gives you the right answer, and even you should check it. So if you don't know what you're putting in and you ask for a general response, it might give you something that doesn't actually make sense, particularly with somebody that actually knows what they're talking about already. So you don't want to be embarrassed by that fact. So yeah, it's something, it's real, it's there, and we just have to accept the fact that it's something. It's like another tool, like we use Google search and things like that. And now it's just a bit more, well, when I say a bit more, a lot more advanced, and we just need to make sure we get on top of it.
Yeah, and I guess on that, unpacking that a little bit more, it's like, I think I was talking with another partner on the show, and they were saying that it's not really good. It could help, it will help every lawyer, AI, but it'll really help the partners and the senior lawyers, because they have had the acumen to feed in the right instructions, right? It's like when that lady went up to Picasso and said, "Can you draw me a painting?" And he did a sketch in 60 seconds and said, "That'll be 15,000. And she said, "Oh, well, you only spent 60 seconds on it." She said, "No, my dear, that took me 30 years to be able to draw that in 60 seconds. So, the senior people in law know what they're putting into the system, whereas those that are learning, as you said, that they might be caught out by that trap in that, and that might be playing out in the next year or two that we're seeing.
I think what you said is so important for many reasons. But let's take an example of just somebody new just putting together some sort of presentation. For workers' compensation, it might take them quite a bit of time. And you'd think, even if they prepare specifically for that presentation more than somebody a bit more senior, they still might not know it as compared to somebody more senior, because you got to understand that their preparation isn't just on that presentation. Their preparation is exactly what you just referred to, Cullen, is the last 20 or 30 years. That's all preparation. That's all conditioning you to be able to respond. We get that. And in fact, that is something that personally I have raised with the team members, to make sure that they actually understand the information. And different generations grow and learn differently. But it's important that, because my generation grew up at a time where we did a lot of advocacy, we were able to kind of speak to one another, we were able to pick up the phone a lot of the time. These days, there's more emails involved in that. So you want to also, with AI that is, but also you want to get them to understand that you still need that experience to be able to then talk to the AI system. Because if you don't have that experience, you can't punch it in, then you're not going to be able to kind of continue in that knowledge base, in that knowledge building. And there's a real risk that AI can potentially cause you not to retain the information. You might see it and know it and spit it out at the time, but retaining it is something completely different. And I think when you learn information and write things down, it does hit in a different way.
Yes, well said. Well said. And probably adding a maybe myth busting here, because the first time I heard about workers' comp was when I was back in school. This is back in the day. This is showing my age, where Heath Franklin was doing the Chopper Read compo skits on people hurting their back and whatnot. But it's so much more complicated than that. The things that you see. What's the biggest myth about workers' compensation you'd like to dispel, either about the client side, the insurance side, or in general about workers' compensation?
Look, I'll hit it from this angle. I'll hit it from a position of the law itself. It's difficult. It's not easy. Like, there are so many different legislations that we're looking at, so many different regulations we're looking at, so many different interpretations of what we're looking at. And when you look at the claims process itself, I mean, what the insurers have to do with from a claims management process, I mean, the case officers, they do an awesome job. Like, they've got a lot of, gone are the days that you're assessing a particular claim as a, limited duties or limited role kind of thing. You're actually having to become slightly a counsellor, slightly a lawyer, slightly an everything just to become a case officer these days. I think it's kind of inbuilt within that title as is. So look, it's a tough thing, but just accepting how difficult workers' compensation is. I think often or traditionally people look at insurance, it's just insurance or it's just workers' compensation. No, it's not. Like, it is heavy. And, unless people walk in your shoes, and likewise, people in insurance walk in the other people's shoes, to gain that perspective, you're never going to know really how the other person feels. But I would challenge people out there that workers' compensation, quite difficult.
Quite difficult. Absolutely. Do things that are hard and life will be easy, but if you only choose what's easy, life will be hard. Well, there you go.
I like that. I like
You
that.
can use that. That's not trademarked yet. You can use that. I can't remember who I stole that from. Sorry, researched. Who, we all stand on the shoulders of giants, and you said it yourself, that long and storied path, the experience and exposure. Who has been the most influential mentor in your legal journey, career, life? And what lesson did they pass on?
Again, it's a hard one. I've had so many important mentors. I'm going to start with my faith. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is the one. For a number of reasons, because I think fundamentally, and I go back to that foundation, I think when you've got to follow. When you say even leading, when we lead, we still have to follow someone.
Yes.
Because we all get our experiences from someone or something. Yes. And from my perspective that's who I follow. So because I follow him, I want to lead like that. And when I lead like that, I want to serve. That's the first thing that you do as a leader is serve. You serve your people. And not always you're going to get agreement on everything, and that's okay. People are people. But that's the main drive for me. That being said, the amount of people, honestly, along the journey, and selfishly I'm saying this, that have helped me, along the way is incredible. I could name them now, but one in particular was somebody in HR, Lynn Coyle. In fact, she was at the time when at the time when I started my defendant career, and we were getting busier and busier, and I didn't know what I was doing because I was just taking the work on and I was doing it. And yes. She said to me, "You need to hire." And I'm like, "Hiring? Look, I'm not too familiar with that, And thankfully, I took her advice on it, and she said, "Yeah, it's okay, do it and train them up." And and she gave amazing advice because now we're looking at that. That was from 2014. Now I've got 2026. Went from a team of about 2 or 3 or 4 people at the time. Now we've got about 20 something, which is a small portion of what we've got at Bartier, which is over 100 people anyway, just in insurance. So it's been really good to give back that way, because I've now gotten more joy to actually work with the individuals in our team rather than just work on your own anyway. It's been, I think people like Lynn along the way have been excellent. There's a bloke I should mention as well, Anthony Morrissey, who actually hired me at Hunt & Hunt. He was my boss at that time. I was his senior associate. And he was just very fair person. And, no matter what you do and what you brought, he'd always just look at it in a different way and say, okay, like he'll take it on. Even though it wasn't his way of doing this, he'll take it on. So, and I think that taught me a lot as well. Just because you don't do something a certain way, it doesn't mean it's wrong. Maybe there's new ways that we need to learn. And I think
Correct.
If we continue having that approach in life, and same as myself, we were talking about it the other day about I'm getting a bit older. So I can't do things as quickly as somebody a bit younger than me, right? In terms of IT and fixing things up. I don't pretend that I know how to do it. I simply ask the person to do it, show me how to do it. And they do it. And it's so easy. And so I think it's just having the ability in yourself to feel confident and secure in yourself to be able to ask for help. No matter how silly you think it is, we're all going to ask silly questions.
Of course. And I like what you said at the last point there, that there's no one way to do things. I think Soren Kierkegaard once said, "This is my way. What's your way? The way doesn't exist." And I think I'm really endeared by that. Shout out to Lynn, shout out to Anthony. And obviously, JC, what you were saying, you don't have to be religious to get some some great messages in negotiation, especially for lawyers watching, because he used to answer questions with a question, right? So someone would say, why should we pay our taxes? It's like, whose name is on the coin kind of thing. So lots of lessons there. And I appreciate you sharing your faith with us there, Danny. I think it's amazing. If you could change one thing about the law and the way it's practiced today, what would it be and why, do you think?
I would like to kind of give the next generation opportunity to go and try to advocate again. I think there's a lot of things that we're doing online that is kind of moving away from their just natural training.
Yes.
So I would like, if there was more opportunity for people to not just do some consent orders
yes
online and that, I think that will go a long way in developing skill sets for the junior lawyers so that they're able to, in line with the new systems with ChatGPT and that, to actually type in the right information to get the right outcome. Because you do that, number one, you increase your advocacy skills. Number two, you gain more knowledge anyway on case-by-case basis. And number three, because you're not simply just preparing for that moment, you're actually been preparing your whole life anyway for it, right? And that's so it should be second nature.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you think you put those three ingredients together and you can come up with a more structured position, I think. I think advocacy will be great. And I think, we say that generally speaking, we're paperless now and emails come through. And, the thing is, on one end, it's true. It makes your life a lot easier by emails and not paper. On the other hand, it does make things quicker and people just require or expect things yesterday sometimes.
Yeah, no, literally, right? Like, it's so true. I had a client that we were speaking to yesterday on the phone. The next goes, is it lodged yet? I said, you haven't provided us anything. I think it's that instant gratification culture as well now, right? Like with Uber Eats and you can get anything you want instantly. Why can't I get my law advice brief done as quickly?
It's all about conditioning. And I like the fact that you mentioned instant gratification. You are right. Everything that you want in this world is at your fingertips. It's on this phone. So, and that is, again, it's done to kind of make it easier for you so you can do other things. But the problem is the overall level of conditioning just makes us weaker as individuals. It really does.
Very well said. Very well said. And getting to the final question. So if you've got any questions for Danny, we're tuning off in the next 5 minutes. Please get them in now. We've got Charles Caldwell all the way from Hong Kong saying greetings from Hong Kong. Hey, Charles, thanks for tuning in. What advice would you like to give young lawyers and professionals starting out in workers' compensation? Would you say don't do it? Or would you say plunge ahead with the abandon? What would you say, Danny?
I'll do it. No, I'd say do it for sure. I think it's great. I think it's a great future as well. And like it's very challenging, which is what you want as well. Just depends if you're into that personal injury type law. I mean, you might not be a doctor or anything, but there's a lot of terminology medically that, you'd probably keen on understanding. So it's a good thing. It's not as if you're only dealing with one sort of workers' comp claim. Because you're dealing with multiple entitlements, you've got your damages claims, so you've got your workers' compensation statutory matters, and even with that, there's different rules for different schools, exempt claims, not exempt claims. Then you've got the work injury damages matters, which are quite juicy, and that's when the plaintiff tries to sue the employer for negligence, and we defend the employers naturally in those matters. But also then there's multi-party, there's 3 parties, 4 parties, or even more than that. And then you're trying to apportion between who's liable and who's not. We've got a partner as well, Michael Lemproglu, who does recoveries at Bartier Perry. And, that's another, I guess, a branch out from the overall workers' compensation system, but it's still something. And he does something different. We mitigate loss. What he does is he actually brings money back to the insurer if there's another party at fault. So, I would definitely recommend it. If somebody is keen on doing workers' compensation, go for it.
No, amazing. So any future workers' comp lawyers, you heard it here first. It is hard, but it is rewarding from Danny Khoshaba, partner at Bartier Perry. Last question for the stream. We'll bring you back for some bonus ones, Danny. When all is said and done, one day you shift off this mortal coil. How would you one day like to be remembered in your career, by your colleagues, and by your family?
As somebody who always stood for truth, no matter how hard it is, even for myself to accept, but as somebody that always stands for truth.
I think that's amazing. And where can people find you to seek that truth there, Danny? Where are you hanging out the most?
The Ancient Church of the East, that church. But anyway, I'm obviously LinkedIn. You can send me a message. That's probably the main thing through work. But you can send me an email, any contacts or any way, just let us know. I'm sure that if you are keen on getting in contact with myself, definitely you can.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being part of the show today, Danny. It's been 30 minutes of just gems and truth bombs being dropped. And I'm sure everyone has walked away illumined. And thank you, anyone who's tuned in or re-listening or re-watching, wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks, Cullen. Thanks
so
everyone.
much, appreciate it. We'll bring you back on in just a moment there, sir. And if you are a legend of law or know someone who's, and when you would like to be on the Law Live or Live with Cullen Haynes show, we come out every Wednesday, either speaking to a legend of law on Law Live, an accounting or finance professional and ledger legends, or just an all-round winner in the space who's helping people self-actualize in what they're doing on Live with Cullen Haynes. Thank you once again, everyone. Have a wonderful Wednesday, and until we meet again, make it count. Bring you back, Danny. Oh, maybe I'm not. Here we go. Well, if you can still hear me, I'm still on. How would you explain your role to your children? How do you go about making it as simple as possible?
Just explaining firstly, fundamentally why I'm doing it. I think even before going into the nitty-gritty of what I'm doing, it's why I'm doing. And it just explains to them that I have to go and earn a living for the family, and as my wife works as well, and she does the same. So we explain that to the children together, and that's one thing. But naturally, my oldest one has now hit high school. So over the years, yeah, I know, it's crazy. I know. I've been able to whisper in her ear the thought of becoming a lawyer as well, like a mum and dad.
You've got the hypnosis tracks in the background. Become a lawyer.
You've got to do something. All you do is plant the seed, and you let them see if the seed actually takes place, if it grows and matures. But and thankfully it has. Now she actually does want to become a lawyer. Initially she was a little bit against it, but now she's like, you know what, I really want to do this. So, and it's a good sign, because she naturally sees when we go home, we explain to her what we went through, just generally speaking about work, So the older they get, the more you can tell them in terms of, you can share, because they become your friends in time, of course. But yeah, I think that's a good thing, is just letting them know, because what they want to know is, what does mum do? What does dad do? And equally, we do that, but at the same time, we don't want to do that to kind of take over what they're going through. So we ask them, what are you going through at school? So that's the main thing, is because it's being more involved in their lives, being more involved in their lives, because the most important thing is, and this is what we're talking about, separation, is you just don't want to go to work at the exclusion of your family. You got to have to give time for them. So when you're talking to them, you give them a little bit about yourself, but you want to ask more questions and know about their lives. I think that's so important.
A lovely sentiment, I must say there, Danny, and a nice little transition into the final question of the whole stream. If you could go back in time and give yourself advice at any age, when would you visit yourself? Would it be in high school? Would it be primary school? Or would it be uni? When would it be? And what advice would you give the younger Danny Khoshaba before he enters the luminous career that's ahead of him?
Probably around about high school, I think. Just, in the headspace that we are going to get older. You're not going to be young like that forever. So you do have responsibility, accountability. I mean, the 18-year-old me versus the 40-year-old me are completely different people. So I think with time, knowing that I've had a family, I've had a couple of kids, no regrets per se, but I would have done things even earlier in hindsight now. So there's a push sometimes not to start family until afterwards, but having a family and having a career and going through that, and both my wife and I think the idea, if I could go back, I'd say, start a family earlier. It's okay. Your career will come. It's fine. So, everyone makes their own decisions, but I guess that's the advice I'd give, because, start focusing on things that are going to actually assist you later on as you get a bit older. Even buying a house, for example, like the younger you are, the more you start thinking about things like this, because that'll actually adjust your mindset and focus on the right sort of things to be able to actually get something in 10 to 15 years time.
Very well said. Very well said. And I may or may not know a leading broker for lawyers who can cover the loan for that house that you're thinking of buying. A shameless plug. Really appreciate it, Danny. That was, again, it was fantastic having you on. I'll leave you back to the rest of your day, and really appreciate you coming on today, mon ami.
Good, man. Thanks, Colin. Thanks, everyone. See ya.
All the best, everyone. Happy Hey there, Cullen Haynes here, Australia's leading broker for lawyers on LinkedIn, and here's why I want to talk to you today about my book, my new book, The Laws of LinkedIn, 23 ways to find your tribe, build your following, and make 7 figures on LinkedIn. When I started this journey 7 years ago, when we built, myself and Andrew, my business partner, we built Legal Home Loans from the ground up, the pain point for us was we were at a standing start. No one knew who we were. We had no money, we had no contacts, and basically we had to find a way to make our voice heard, talk to our tribe, the legal community, and build trust. And the only thing we had at our disposal was LinkedIn, which was and still is free. There's over 1 billion people on LinkedIn, and I wish when I started, I had this book with me to guide me, because I basically distilled my 23 top leading hacks that we use to build our business to a 7+ figure, and I really want to get it out there and share it with you. So if you're back